Well, we're joined now by a man who knows all about asylum seeker policies, the United Nations, and being the most powerful man in the country. Please welcome former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. Kevin, great to see you. We're going to get to the UN in just a sec, but first up, you've got yourself a new job. Tell us about it. Congratulations.
Well, I've, since last year, been in the United States. I'm maintaining this 12,000-mile principle, which is, while I'm sort of out of politics, I should be out of sight as well. So, this most recent thing on sanitation, water, which I'm doing as well.
So you're like a global Kenny, aren't you, with the sanitation and the water? Really?
I thought you'd come up with something.
But I want a yes or no.
Do you think we could get away with the word dunny in there somewhere?
I think you could work it in there somewhere.
I'm not sure how it would translate, actually. I'm just thinking of it in Chinese.
OK, what is it?
No.
Have a stab. Have a stab.
I don't want to lose 1.4 billion seconds.
Do you feel any responsibility for some of the criticism that's been levelled at our treatment of asylum seekers?
Let me say to start with, and I won't avoid your question, I'll come straight back to it, that the important thing is that Australia's got broad enough shoulders to accept these reports when they come along. There was a day, a decade or so ago, that we would deny access to UN rapporteurs coming here to look at the conditions in detention centres and all the rest. Second is, if you look at the actual nature of the criticisms, they go to mandatory detention, including mandatory detention of children. I do not support that. Okay? And certainly in government, we did not support that.
What about offshore detention process? Do you take some responsibility for the criticism at that?
I think that our approach to that is the only rational approach given our geographical circumstances in the world. But with this big caveat, that when a boat comes to Australia, you should not be in the business of turning it back on the high seas. When a boat comes, Christmas Island or whatever, you then should transfer people, as I agreed in 2013 with the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, to take them to a centre in Papua New Guinea or elsewhere within the Pacific in the case of Nauru for quick temporary processing, whereby if their refugee status is established, well and good. If it's not, and they are not bona fide refugees, then they are then sent back.
Have you noticed we have a new PM? Are you across that?
Yeah.
Are you across that? What's his name? Malcolm...
Tony...
no, not that one.
Was last week.
Tony Turnbull.
Tony Turnbull. Tony Turnbull.
Yeah, made the news abroad too.
How's he doing, do you think?
Malcolm? Look, I think, objectively speaking, you've got to say that Malcolm's had a good start.
What about Tony Abbott? Did you have any sympathy for him? Did you contact him?
No, I didn't contact him, but yes. Actually, I talked about it with my family that night. When you encounter a very public, personal, political loss, look, everyone's a human being, and so therefore you do feel for people under those circumstances. But as we know, it's a rough and tumble business. Mind you, Malcolm's got his own challenges. He's got to deal with the lunar right of his party, and there are some serious nut jobs there. We all know that. Just as, when I was Prime Minister, and Bill today has got to deal with a whole bunch of, factional thugs from certain trade unions who make life difficult for you.
We all
have our problems.
Do you love now that you're not Prime Minister, you can use the term nut job on television?
Did I not use nut job before?
I can't remember. One that you may not have used in your term or terms.
It has of some of those people from the lunar right. It's actually a pretty generous term.
Can you believe that Waleed Ali is our political hound dog? He's across all the socialists. You're an ex-PM, and he's not here. He's at the GQ Awards walking the red carpet. What do you have to say about that?
I'm cut.
We've got to take a break, but before we go, would you please thank Kevin Rudd?
Coming up, this Aussie Olympian says he